Lieutenant Colonel Congressman Alan West is our guest. He's in town tonight, and the event is booked. I'm sorry for that. He's just too popular.
I would say
So,
that.
for those of you asking, that's the answer. I want to play a little free association, then I want to get to that one final issue I prompted. I'll mention a name. I'm going to ask you to be undiplomatic, unscripted, which you typically are. And the first thing that pops in your mind, if possible, one word. If it takes you a few, go ahead.
Okay.
First thing that pops in your mind, Elizabeth West,
Strong.
your mother. Herman West,
A rock.
your father. Herman Cain,
Challenging the establishment.
General Patton,
Greatest war-fighting general the nation will ever know.
Saddam Hussein,
Evil.
John Boehner.
Speaker.
They don't
Wow. I think that
Is that positive?
I think it's positive. I think it's positive. We voted for him to be speaker, and he's doing the best possible job he can. Better than Nancy Pelosi.
Sheila Jackson Lee,
Colorful.
Maxine, Maxine Waters,
Loud.
Jeb Bush,
Principled.
Rick Perry,
Needs a debate team.
Ron Paul,
Kind of off the ranch.
Joe Biden,
Let's see. I can think of nutty. I can think of mindless. I just absent-minded.
Michelle Bachmann,
Energetic.
Ronald Reagan,
America.
Michael Vick,
Broken hand.
Peyton Manning, or Tennessee,
Tennessee Vol.
Colin Powell,
Leader.
Debbie Wasserman Schultz.
I need a bucket.
I can tell you that July 19th of this year, you said that she is the most vile, unprofessional, and despicable member of the House of Representatives. That wasn't after 3 beers. You put that in the writing.
Well, absolutely. And what happened was I was during the time of the cut cap and balance debate when we were going through the debt ceiling issue. Cut cap and balance was a very good alternative. I had just given a short floor speech and had left the floor after turning in my speech. She came up afterwards and made a personal attack against me from the House floor. And there have been a series of incidents, and this goes all the way back to October of 2010 when I was a candidate, when she called for a riot and a protest outside my campaign headquarters to castigate me as a woman hater and a misogynist. And there have been many other things that she's done, you know, going into the veterans clinics down there in South Florida and saying that I really didn't care for veterans when, you know, my dad was a vet, my older brother, myself, and my nephew. So I'd had enough. You know, as a Christian man, I will turn the other cheek, but when I start to get a crick in my neck, I'm going to take care of business. And
Did you use any psychological intimidation tactics?
I think I did because she's not, you know, she's been pretty quiet.
When she meets you in the hallway, what does she do?
Well, I think she kind of veers off to
She
the
avert
direction.
your eyes, avert your gaze?
Well,
You said she's not a lady.
well, I don't think that how she carries herself, you know, gentle man, gentle lady, she is not that way. You know, when you think about some of the things that she has said as the position she's in as the DNC chair and also as a congressional representative, look, there are many people that came up to me and said, I finally said what a lot of people have been thinking about saying for quite some time, even down in South Florida. So I stand by what I said, and if I need to say it again, if she confronts me, I will.
What member of the House of Representatives do you most admire?
You know, that's a tough one. It is not so much, because I've been there in just 9 months. You're not going to get my admiration in 9 months. I will look to certain individuals that I can glean lessons from, and there are several. There are several chairmen that I've been able to do that. There's just several other, you know, just plain senior members. Just recently I was over in Arizona with Trent Franks. Great guy, great strong conservative, a great Christian man, great heart. And so I really appreciate his mentorship.
The CBC seems to have attacked you, and yet you have remained a member.
Mm-hmm.
Will you continue to be a member of that board?
Absolutely, because this is the thing, you know, constitutional conservatism is now part of the Congressional Black Caucus, and it will always be part of the Congressional Black Caucus because, you know, I'm not going to stay in Washington, D.C. for the rest of my life, but I will train and raise up the next generation that will come up there and join the CBC. You know, you have to work from within, not from without. And when you look around now, you have, you know, probably 18 to 20% of people in the black community that identify themselves as fiscal conservatives and conservatives overall, and they need to have their voices heard. And I think it's very important to be there to offer that varying perspective, so that you just don't see a single-minded body politic.
President Obama's policies have had a devastating effect on our economy, not just unemployment, but investment.
The whole gamut. I mean, and see, this is what we have to have. You know, the number one thing that's hurting our country is a lack of confidence coming out of Washington, D.C. due to the fiscal policies, the regulatory policies, monetary and tax policies. You know, when we talk about growing the bureaucratic nanny state, that's not what built this country 235 years. When you hear people talking about investment coming out of Washington, D.C., that is, you know, so counter to what this country has really, prospered under, which is investment, ingenuity, and innovation. It comes from the right type of policies coming out of Washington, D.C. that can enable the private sector to grow, enable the private sector and our small businesses to hire Americans. Right now, there is no confidence, there is no certainty because of all the levels of risk that we're piling upon people. You know, when you look at this
But
rhetoric.
let me ask you this.
Sure.
Do you think that President Obama, that the negative result of his policies and the destruction in his wake is inadvertent because he's inept? Or do you think, as some people increasingly believe, and as Rush Limbaugh has suggested, that this is intentional?
It is intentional because this is who the president is. The president is a Marxist because he believes in the separation of classes. We have never heard a president in the United States of America speak as he is. And when you have a national leader, you look throughout history, when you have a national leader that demonizes a certain segment of a society and attacks them, it has never ended up well, but yet that's what we have. He is a socialist because he believes in nationalizing production. You think about what is happening with the finance industry, automobile industry, healthcare industry, what could have happened if cap and trade had gone through, but now they're just, instead of the legislative process, they're doing it through the regulatory process with the EPA. This expansion of the welfare state, the fact that we are seeing such an incredible rise of poverty in America, food stamp recipients, and of course, you know, when you've got 47 to 48% of wage-earning households that aren't paying federal income taxes, it is not about taxing rich. It is about how do we make American shareholders? How do we broaden that tax base? And that's why I believe we go to a flat tax, somewhere between 13 to 16%. Everyone's a shareholder. You have two deductions, child tax credit, mortgage interest tax deduction. We want Americans to have families. We want families to have homes. You look at our corporate business tax rate, 35%. When you combine it with the state corporate business tax rate, now you're talking about 39 to 41%. Bring it down to 21%. Eliminate loopholes and subsidies. But give our corporations and businesses a competitive tax rate. And then let's retrograde that back to 1 January of this year. And think about all the trillions of dollars of capital that comes back here to the United States of America. What President Obama is doing with his economic policies is making us a debtor nation. $5 trillion of new debt since he's been president. 1.42, 1.29, $1.5 trillion of deficits in his 3 years. We are no longer producing and manufacturing. We're not making and doing.
Let me
That's
ask you
what we
one
have to get
question.
away from.
GoWest2012.com
Yes.
is the website if you want to contribute to the Allen West re-election campaign. He's been targeted by the Democrats. GoWest2012.com. I got 20 seconds. You voted for the debt ceiling increase.
Yes.
Why?
You know, you can't let perfection be the enemy of good enough. Now, I will tell you right now, the super committee thing was a big part of what I did not agree with. But when you look at the fact that the president wanted a complete raising of the debt ceiling, he wanted to be able to raise taxes, all the things that he wanted, we did not enable him to get.
We're out of time. Thank you, Allen West.
Thank you.